James Oxygen and Supply, from residential to industrial, a locally owned family business serving Western North Carolina since 1956.
I'm Ralph Mangum. This is the WHKY News, and it's time for our weekly roundup of some of the top crime stories we had for you during the week of June 16th through June 20. Here we go now. In today's top stories, a fatal shooting is under investigation in Statesville. At about 5:35 Saturday morning, Statesville police responded to a report of shots fired on the 100 block of East Allison Street. Upon arrival, officers found a male victim lying in the roadway with an apparent gunshot wound to the chest or abdomen area. Officers immediately rendered aid and requested assistance from Iredell County EMS. Despite life-saving efforts, the victim passed away at the scene. The deceased has been identified as 25-year-old D'Angelo Malenzi Barker of Statesville. The investigation is ongoing. Anyone with information should call Statesville Police 704-878-3406. Later the same day, another fatal shooting occurred in Statesville. WHKY's Ariana Mack has more.
A fatal shooting is under investigation and a suspect has been identified. On Saturday at approximately 12:45 p.m., the Statesville Police Department responded to a report of shots fired in the area of Deaton Street and Abernathy Ballfield. Upon arrival, officers located a male victim in a nearby front yard suffering from multiple gunshot wounds to the abdomen and legs. Officers immediately rendered aid and requested assistance from Iredell County EMS and Iredell Rescue Squad. The victim was transported to Iredell Memorial Hospital, where he later passed away from his injuries. The victim was identified as 33-year-old Timmy Jarice Moore of Statesville. The Statesville Police Department's Violent Crimes and Criminal Investigations units responded to the scene and began processing evidence and conducting interviews. During the investigation, detectives identified Austin Kimby Morrison as the suspect responsible for the shooting. An arrest warrant for murder has been obtained for Morrison, and efforts to locate him are currently underway. At this time, investigators have found no credible evidence connecting this case to the earlier homicide on East Allison Street. This investigation remains active. Anyone with information on this incident or Morrison's whereabouts is urged to contact the Statesville Police Department at 704-878-3406. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY News.
The suspect in this case is charged with firing multiple shots into a vehicle early last Friday morning. According to online records, the suspect has multiple convictions in Alexander County dating back to 2017, including a recent conviction for assault that led to prison time. 30-year-old Ethan Scott Young of Stony Point was arrested Friday by Alexander County Sheriff's officers. He's charged with felony discharging a weapon into occupied property and possession of a firearm by a felon. Alexander County deputies responded to a location in Stony Point shortly after midnight Friday morning. They took Young into custody after he allegedly fired shots into an occupied vehicle. Alexander County Sheriff Chad Pennell says there were no injuries in the incident. Young was convicted in connection to an incident in 2022. He served more than 2 years in prison following that conviction in Alexander County on March 23rd of 2022 for assault with a deadly weapon inflicting serious injury, assault with a deadly weapon, and kidnapping. Young has multiple convictions listed in Alexander County dating back to 2017. Young was placed in the Alexander County Detention Center under $225,000 bond following his arrest. As of the time I'm filing this report, he remains in jail under that bond amount. A district court date is scheduled for next Monday, June 23rd in Taylorsville. Reporting for WHKY News, I'm Rob Eastwood.
Thanks, Ariana. One more to wrap it up. 40-year-old Erica Danielle Bollinger of 2nd Avenue Southwest in Hildebrand has been arrested by Catawba County Sheriff's officers on 2 counts of possession with intent to manufacture, sell, or deliver meth. Bollinger was jailed today in the Catawba County Detention Facility under a $110,000 bond. She'll appear in court on August 4th in Newton. On June 17th, 50-year-old Michelle Wilshire of Hickory was sentenced to 46 months in prison, followed by 2 years of supervised release for embezzling more than $900,000 from her employer. The announcement was made by Russ Ferguson, U.S. Attorney for the Western District of North Carolina. According to court documents, from 2016 to 2021, Wilshire was employed by a family-owned business in Conover. She was in charge of a third-party payment processing and debit card issuing service that the company used for fleet management and payment services for its drivers. Wilshire issued multiple prepaid debit cards in her name and in the names of other individuals, including former company employees, fictitious employees, and current employees who were not aware that the cards existed. Wilshire caused the processing company to load funds onto the debit cards, which she then withdrew via ATM. Between November 2017 and July 2021, Wilshire withdrew more than $528,000. Wilshire also embezzled company funds by using the processing company's services to issue checks in her name and to make multiple wire transfers into her personal bank account, totaling over $315,000. And she caused more than $58,000 of the company's funds to be transferred into the bank account of a former company employee. In addition, Wilshire prepared and filed individual income tax returns that did not include the additional funds she received through the embezzlement scheme. In July of last year, Wilshire pleaded guilty to wire fraud and making and subscribing a false tax return. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mike Savage and Special Assistant U.S. Attorney Eric Frick of the U.S. Attorney's Office in Charlotte prosecuted the case.
That's correct, Ralph. A registered sex offender has been jailed on Alexander County drug charges. 68-year-old Richard Eugene Stikelether of Taylorsville was arrested Monday by Alexander County Sheriff's officers. He's charged with 2 counts apiece of failure to notify law enforcement of an address change as a registered sex offender and registered sex offender near restricted property. Stikelether served 30 months in prison following a Catawba County conviction in 2011 for indecent liberties with a minor. He was also charged in May for violating his registered sex offender status. He was placed in the Alexander County Detention Center under a secured bond of $105,000. A district court date is scheduled for June 23rd. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY.
Suspect who made that court appearance was arrested in Minnesota last week. The attorney appointed to represent the suspect says that his client has admitted to his involvement in that mass shooting that took place on June 1st. 27-year-old Charles Rodell Kincaid III of Morganton is charged with 1 count of attempted first-degree murder. Kincaid was the most recent suspect arrested in the Catawba County Sheriff's Office investigation into the incident that occurred at that house party on Walnut Acres Drive in Mountain View. He was arrested in Rogers, Minnesota on June 12th. According to our news partner, WACB, Assistant District Attorney Timothy Gould said Kincaid was the driver of the vehicle that transported a group of admitted gang members to and from the shooting. 1 person was killed in the gunfire and 11 were wounded. 58-year-old Sean Patrick Hood of Lenoir was the individual who was killed. Defense attorney Patrick Keeley was appointed to represent Kincaid in this case. According to our news partner, Keeley said that Kincaid confessed to law enforcement about his involvement in the shooting, including the planning of the assault. The others charged with attempted first-degree murder in this case are 20-year-old Garen Nathaniel Killian, 18-year-old Isaiah Mitchell, 20-year-old Toland Huff Jr., 19-year-old Keandre O'Neill Mack, and 22-year-old Zachary Michael Bates. As of the time I'm filing this report, Kincaid remains here at the Catawba County Detention Facility, where he is being held without bond. No upcoming court dates were listed. Reporting from the Catawba County Justice Center, I'm Rob Eastwood, WHKY News.
Gerard Sharon Moore of Iron Station has been arrested on charges of possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, going armed to the terror of the public, and discharging a firearm in the city limits. At about 9:35 Tuesday morning, Lincolnton police took a call from an employee of a Charlotte news station. The caller had received a call from an individual who said he had a gun and said he was headed to downtown Lincolnton to shoot people. Lincolnton police responded and immediately began to patrol the downtown area in vehicles and on foot. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office was also notified and sent additional units to patrol the area. Officers went door to door at downtown businesses and advised them of the threat. Businesses were asked to lock their doors and stay off the streets. Based on information from the original caller, the suspect was identified as Gerard Sharon Moore. Officers learned that Moore had been in the downtown area earlier Tuesday morning. While on one of the back streets, Moore fired a handgun into the ground multiple times. At about 1:15 p.m., officers found Moore sitting in his vehicle, which was parked on Ironton Place. He was taken into custody without incident. A handgun was also recovered. Moore was jailed under a $250,000 bond. No court dates are currently listed. 32-year-old Ashton Darrell Farley of Hickory and 46-year-old Thomas Eugene Eichert of Lenore have both been sentenced on federal drug charges. Farley was sentenced to 235 months plus 5 years of supervised release, while Eichert was sentenced to 60 months plus 4 years of supervised release. They both pleaded guilty to conspiracy to distribute and possession with intent to distribute fentanyl and methamphetamine. 2 other defendants were previously sentenced in connection with the same case. During the 10-month investigation, officers seized fentanyl, meth, and marijuana, along with various firearms and ammunition, including an AR-15 rifle and a privately made firearm, or ghost gun. Members of the drug ring used several residences either as stash houses to store drugs and/or guns, or to conduct drug trafficking activities, including one alleged stash house that was 2 blocks from the federal courthouse in Charlotte.
A Newton woman is charged with assaulting a child. She's also charged with strangulation. The suspect was arrested by authorities in Catawba County and placed in jail without bond. 39-year-old Jennifer Michelle Knapp of Overlook Drive in Newton was arrested by Newton police officers. She's charged with assault by strangulation, assault on a child under 12, and false imprisonment. Knapp was confined in the Catawba County Detention Facility here in Newton under no bond Wednesday morning. A district court date is scheduled for June 30th. 42-year-old Josephine Castle Dickerson of Oxford Way in Claremont was arrested by Hickory police officers. She's charged with assault with a deadly weapon with intent to kill, assault with a deadly weapon with a minor present, and misdemeanor child abuse. Dickerson was confined in the Catawba County Detention Facility under no bond following the Wednesday arrest. She is scheduled to appear in district court here in Newton next Monday, June 23rd. Reporting from the Catawba County Justice Center, I'm Rob Eastwood, WHKY News.
5 Taylorsville residents were arrested by the Alexander County Sheriff's Office in connection to break-ins. On Monday at approximately 12 p.m., the Alexander County 911 Center received a call reporting a breaking and entering on Pop Davis Road. 29-year-old Dustin Shane Jenkins and 32-year-old Tiffany Danielle Rector were the first 2 suspects arrested. Later in the afternoon at approximately 12:30 p.m., the Alexander County 911 Center received a call reporting a break-in at the same location on Pop Davis Road. Officers arrived on the scene and after an investigation arrested 3 additional suspects. 31-year-old Kirsten Ashley Dawn Smith, 30-year-old Amanda Non Daniel, and 40-year-old Robert John Britting. All 5 suspects are charged with offenses including breaking and entering. The suspects were brought to the Alexander County Detention Center under various bond amounts. District court dates are scheduled for next Monday. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY. A Lincolnton man jailed on Catawba County statutory rape charges. 36-year-old James Edward Glass of Highland Bluff Court in Lincolnton was arrested Wednesday by Hickory police officers. He's charged with 2 counts of statutory rape of a child 15 years old or younger. Glass was confined in the Catawba County Detention Facility without bond. A district court date is set for next Monday, June 23rd.
24-year-old Cody Dean Limbo of Airport Roadhouse Road in Hickory has been charged with felony escape from a local jail and misdemeanor counts of assault on a government official or employee and resisting a public officer. On June 16th, a deputy transported Cody Dean Limbo to UNC Health Blue Ridge from the Burke County Jail for a medical evaluation. During the check-in process, the inmate was asked to sign some papers. The inmate abruptly attempted to flee from the deputy. The deputy, with assistance from hospital security, quickly regained control before Limbo could exit the hospital. After the inmate was medically cleared, he was returned to the Burke County Jail, where bond was set at $100,000 secured. Limbo will appear in district court in Morganton on June 27th. Earlier this month, Cody Dean Limbo was convicted in Iredell County of attempted common law robbery and attempted possession of a firearm by a felon. He received a suspended 18-month sentence.
North Carolina Insurance Commissioner Mike Causey Thursday announced the arrest of 52-year-old Donald Edward Johnson, Jr. of St. James Church Road in Denver, North Carolina. Johnson is charged with 1 count of insurance fraud and 1 count of obtaining property by false pretense. Both charges are felonies. According to special agents with the NC Department of Insurance's Criminal Investigations Division, Johnson reported to Peak Property and Casualty that his 2014 Buick LaCrosse was involved in a hit and run while it was parked, knowing that the damage to his vehicle had been caused in a prior accident. The incident occurred on August 23, 2024, according to the warrant. Johnson was arrested by the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department and released on a $20,000 unsecured bond. He is scheduled to appear in Randolph County District Court on June 23rd. I'm Ariana Mack for WHKY News.
62-year-old Deborah Lynn Steiner of Sawmill Road in Conover was arrested by Catawba County Sheriff's officers Thursday on a felony warrant as a fugitive awaiting extradition to another state. She is wanted in Sumter County, Florida, for money laundering and grand theft greater than $100,000. Steiner was jailed in the Catawba County Detention Facility where she was being held without bond at last report. An appearance in district court was set for Monday, June 23rd in Newton. And that wraps up this recap of some of the crime stories we had for you during the week of June 16th through the 20th. Our weekly review is posted every Saturday on the WHKY YouTube channel. That's where you'll also find our top stories, the crime report, local sports, and community focus. I'm Ralph Mangum. Thank you all for your support of the WHKY News.